Hello, everybody. Welcome to another video. If you are a government or a public sector employee but are looking to transition to industry without having to spend a fortune in an MBA program, then this video is for you. So, I'll firstly talk a little bit about myself. Um, I did my engineering from NIT Kurukshetra and graduated from Indian School of Business in 2022. And I also have a fellowship diploma from Insurance Institute of India and recently cleared FRM, which is Financial Risk Manager Part 1 exam, which is conducted by GARP. Uh, I started my career with EXL, but then quit EXL to prepare for UPSC Civil Services. That did not happen, so kept preparing for other services, other exams, and joined General Insurance Corporation of India (GICD) in reinsurance underwriting. Then kept appearing for other exams and joined PFRDA, which is Pension Fund Regulatory and Development Authority. And after that, I went to pursue my MBA from ISB, and after which I joined KPMG India, which also I have recently left, and I've joined back my first company, EXL, in analytics. So through my journey, I know uh, that there are a number of people who would want to transition from government sector back to industry, or they just want to transition. And MBA is the best option for such people, and I have received many messages on LinkedIn, etc., etc., and I've helped out a number of people as well when it comes to MBA admissions. But I figured that some people don't want to spend that much money or don't want to actually go for an MBA, but are looking to transition, right? And these people find it very difficult. In fact, I also, when I was in PFRDA before going to ISB, I also found that uh, transitioning back to industry is something that I was not, confident in how to go about it and how to make it happen. So hopefully through this video, some people out there might get a framework to think, and they can plan their transition. They can try it out before they take the decision to go for an MBA. If the transition happens without an MBA, well and good, right? You can always do an MBA later on in your career. So I'll start with basic economics. See, you are a product, you are a person in the labor market who is out there to provide their services. Okay. And then there is demand for your labor. Okay. So you are out there in the labor market. So you have to think from this point of view, right? That why will you get a job? Who will give you a job? You need to provide some kind of service, some kind of value to the potential employers. All right. And only when these two things are aligned, whatever is in demand and whatever you are providing through your experience, only then you will be able to transition. Okay. And whatever CTC or salary etc you would get is the clearing price of the market, and it is determined by, number one, your expectations, number two, the kind of data or information that you have, and number three, your opportunity cost. So for example, there may be an IAS officer who would not be getting a lot of salary in cash in their accounts, right? But they would be getting a lot of other benefits, intangible benefits or services. So that is the opportunity cost that will be forgone. All right. So keep these things in mind when you are negotiating your salary package, but that comes at a much later stage. So coming to the frameworks that you can use to think and plan about your transition, you have to think from two perspectives. One is what is your function, and number two is what is your industry. Now I understand that in government sector or public sector, so in PSUs or PSBs it is clear, right? If you are an ONGC officer, you are in oil and gas industry. If you are a public sector banker, you are in banking, right? But people who are, let's say, in pure central government or pure state government, for these people situation can get a bit tricky. So I've taken a case of a person who is, let's say, employed in environment ministry, and the profile is that he or she has worked in policy related issues related to air pollution. Okay, and they have also managed the appointments, or let's say resignations, of top management people at some autonomous bodies that are under their ministry. Okay, so when you see that this is a matrix of function versus industry, so the top right is where the function and industry both have an excellent match. So for example, you have a project management role at a policy think tank, or a policy research role in a think tank or a non-profit organization that is related to, let's say, environmental science or air pollution, water pollution, anything, right? So you can see that in when you are in a ministry, you are either working on policy related stuff or you're working on, general management stuff. So project management fits in perfectly with your function, or policy research fits in perfectly. The organization that you are applying at is a think tank or a non-profit that's working in the same domain, so the industry sector is also matching perfectly. So this is a kind of role that has a maximum likelihood of, success when it comes to transition. In the bottom left, you can see that this is the worst kind of situation with lowest likelihood of a successful transition. So such a person looking for a corporate finance role or a finance role in an IT company. So neither industry is matching nor the function is matching. So this is the most difficult. Even people who go for an MBA, such kind of a transition is the toughest. Then the other two are which have, medium kind of probability of success. So bottom right, you can see that the function is HR. Now why HR? Because this person has handled appointments and resignations of management people at, autonomous bodies. So that's why they know about HR, but they're applying at an e-commerce company, so the industry is not matching. The other end, the top left, you can see that the role is business development, sales and all, marketing, but you don't have that kind of a functional experience. But the place that you are applying at is a pollution control equipment manufacturer, so the industry match is very high, right? So you have to uh, figure out your function industry high points. Okay, and then you can set your expectations accordingly. Now how do you figure out? You can also use a value chain view. So same case, same profile. This person is sitting at the top, environment ministry, right, which is the apex body when it comes to environmental related problems, and the person has worked in air pollution. Okay, so environment ministry's air pollution actions will have consequences to the primary industry or some primary organizations which will have a direct bearing of that. For example, this entire thing is purely an example, hypothetical. For example, Maruti Suzuki, they are an automobile manufacturing company, and whatever decisions environment ministry takes regarding air pollution, those decisions will have direct impact on Maruti Suzuki, because automobiles create a lot of pollution. Similarly, Adani Power, they're into power generation. So power generation creates a lot of pollution, right? Then you have Center for Policy Research. Now this is a think tank or a non-profit organization that also tracks and researches and follows environmental related issues, let's say air pollution. So this is the primary industry, primary organizations that, such a person can target. Then, if you go down the value chain, Maruti Suzuki or Adani Power must be having certain suppliers which are also impacted by such regulations, or these suppliers may be providing some inputs to the primary players when it comes to meeting those regulations. So, for example, Maruti Suzuki says, okay, we are going to transition to electric vehicles. Okay, and Exide is a battery manufacturer that can provide batteries to Maruti Suzuki. Or there is a player, PowerTech Pollution Controls, which can provide pollution control devices. ABB is there, which actually manufactures motors and all, but ABB also manufactures air pollution monitoring devices, right? So these are the secondary players. So if you kind of develop this kind of a value chain view, the farther you keep going away from where you are, the chances of success keep keep reducing. So that's how you can also think about populating your function industry matrix that you can target your a value chain view. Using a value chain view, you can target which organizations or which industries you can target, right? Then once we have talked about this, we will go and talk about the skills gap. So it's all a skills game basically, right? As I said that whatever services you are providing and whatever services are in demand. So services is basically skills, right? So we know that skills can be hard skills or soft skills. What I have observed is that government people are strong on soft skills but weak on hard skills in general, okay, because the profile is such, the kind of work is such that hard skills are not that emphasized, right? And even if, let's say, there is a requirement of hardcore, hard skills, many of these organizations tend to outsource it to consultants or completely outsource that work, because it's too technical in nature. So just for an example, soft skill by soft skills, uh, what you can highlight or what you can focus is uh, stakeholder management. I have seen that people in government sector are good at stakeholder management. They have worked in such situations where they have had to manage a number of different and difficult stakeholders. They are good at communication, right? Because you have to manage a number of stakeholders, you have to be good at communication. You might have led some projects or you might have led some teams, so you have gained some leadership experience, okay. Hard skills, everybody knows coding is a hard skill, financial analysis, financial modeling, all these are hard skills, right? So you identify, as per your function industry and value chain analysis, you identify, okay, these are the jobs and these are the industries, these are the players where I can transition to. They are demanding so and so kind of skills, hard skills, soft skills, okay. Whatever existing skills you have to market it in a way that they appear to be very relevant to what the demand is, okay. So sometimes people don't know what words to use. You might be doing stakeholder management but you don't even know that you are doing stakeholder management, right? So you have to use the proper terminology. That's how you market it, okay. And whatever skills you don't have, that's the gap that you have to bridge, okay. And these would be mostly hard skills related. So you can invest in upskilling yourself, okay, and bridging this skills gap through online courses, that a number of them are free, some are paid also. Now these courses will not add credentials to your profile, but they will definitely give a signal that you are serious about this transition and you have invested time and money and effort in upskilling yourself and bridging that gap, okay. So this was about skills. Next we'll move to resume making, because resume is the piece of paper where everything will be put together, okay. And this will be the piece of paper that will be used for your applications, for your shortlisting, everything, okay. So you can refer a number of resources out there on resume making. There's plenty of material out there, plenty of good material. I'll just talk about some major things that I found. One is that the language in which you write your bullet points. So you can follow two formats, either one of these, star or RAC. So star is basically situation, task, action, result, and RAC is result, action, context, okay. Just search about them, you will understand what I'm talking about. For example, in an RAC format, we'll say that uh, I saved so and so amount of cost for my department by automating so and so stuff because we were suffering profitability issue, okay. Or we I was asked to do it by senior management, something like that, right? uh, then your bullet points, your resume should be very relevant. You should give priority to the pointers, or to the work experience that has the maximum linkage to the job description, okay. So you might have worked on a variety of things. You should not add each and everything on the resume and the order is all messed up. No, you find out what the job description is, what is it that you're applying to, and then figure out what kind of work experience pointers are relevant to it, and then you place them at the top, and you can ignore others, right? So, and all these pointers should pass the so what test, Why is it important? Why is it significant? Why would the recruiter want to read this pointer on your resume when they are hiring for so and so job? Right? You need to answer these questions. Finally, the resume should be clean, should not be cluttered, should not look messy. There should be no typo errors, there should be no formatting errors. All right, and you can refer, as I said, multiple resources are out there. One is also hosted by Harvard University. I'll put the link in description. You can check that out to build your resume, and also get your resume to be reviewed by certain friends, seniors, colleagues, etc., to get inputs so that how you can improve your resume. All right. Finally, when you will start applying to jobs, apply wholeheartedly. Keep the denominator big as possible, because the more you apply, the better your chances are of shortlisting. Right. Networking is very important when you're applying for jobs. So there's some good data point that I observed, uh, that although the number of applications are highest on job portals, but you can see that the referral route has the highest chances of getting an interview call and the highest chances of getting hired versus the applications in that channel, right? So if you're able to get a referral, the chances are very high that you will get an interview call, and the chances are very high that you will get hired eventually, right? So use, I'm not saying that you only depend on referrals. Use the job portals, use direct applications to the company website, and use referrals. So referral, if you are able to get a referral, chances would be increased. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So how do you get better at networking and get people to refer you? Don't indulge or don't involve with people just for the heck of it. Okay, please make friends. Okay, build your relationships and maintain them. Help people out. Okay, contribute to their development, help them out. They will help you in return. Okay, I understand this is a long term thing of building your network, but if you're just cold calling, or if you're just directly reaching out to some people, your friends, seniors, or anybody, prefer it that you know the person. Even if you don't know, you're cold calling, or just reaching out randomly. Try to be respectful, try to be formal, don't use casual words. Try to be direct. Okay, and try to be very very clear, and give some context. Okay, give some context about your profile, that this, that's what I have done. Okay, that's what I want to do, and that's where you can help me, and why should I help? Okay, so you have to make your messaging very sharp and clear, honest and respectful. Okay, that's a small tip on cold calling. Finally, this is going to be uh, can be a long journey. Okay, months. So be organized. Your goals should be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So, for example, by specific, I mean that okay, I will apply to 5 companies in the next 2 months minimum. This is a goal that is specific. This is a goal that you can measure. Okay, and this is a goal that is achievable. In 2 months, you can definitely apply to 5 companies, right? And properly, all right, and it should be relevant, of course, right? So relevancy can also be mean that okay, you are applying to data science roles, and you are but you are actually taking finance courses online to upskill yourself. Doesn't make sense, it's not relevant. Okay, and it should be time bound. Your goals should not be like okay, indefinitely karenge. Element of time should be there. It will keep you on your track. Okay, then how do you proceed with the plan? So you make a plan. Okay, you set your goals, you start executing. Okay, and you keep observing. You have to keep feeding your observations back into your plan. Okay, that okay यार, job portal से तो कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, या फिर my network is not that active, I don't know enough people. So you will have to change your plan, you will have to change your approach, and keep executing it. It may so happen that after months of trying and doing everything correctly, and uh, you have done everything, you've exhausted everything, and then you still observe that okay, MBA is something that is needed now. So then you can take a decision that no, now I need to go for an MBA. That will give you a very solid case also when you're applying to the B schools. You can say that, okay, boss, I wanted to transition. I did XYZ. Okay, the feedback that I got was that I need to upskill myself and I need to add my credentials. So that's why I'm going for an MBA. Okay, I want to transition to, your goals would also be clearer, right? So you would make a very, very strong applicant to MBA programs that way. Uh, Finally, I'll leave you with some bonus tips, which I see are going to be jobs of the future. You might be aware of many of these, and this is not a comprehensive list. Just what I thought are the most relevant. All jobs related to technology. All right, and by technology, I don't mean that you have to be a technical person. You can be a management person as well, managing technology or managing digital transformations, because all organizations are going to transform digitally. Okay, it has already happened in the past 2 3 years after COVID. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen in government organizations as well. Okay, second, as organizations go digital, a lot of data will be generated and a lot of data will be collected. Okay, so collection of data, management of data, and extracting insights from that data, and decision making, management decision making using data science and analytics. This is also going to be a hot thing in India. Then we have certain themes coming up related to sustainability. Everybody's talking about green energy, phasing out oil and gas or traditional source of energy. E-mobility is coming up. So these are some hot areas that will take off, okay, in the next decade or two. And also, as India grows richer, as education improves, people and organizations are going to be more socially active and responsible. So impact and governance space in India will also grow. So these are my thoughts. um, Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully this video will benefit some people out there. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share the video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.